Welcome to the Happy Mama Movement podcast. I'm Amy Taylor-Kabbaz. I would like to start by acknowledging the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation on which this podcast is recorded as the traditional custodians of this land, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. And as this podcast is dedicated to the wisdom and knowledge of motherhood, I would like to acknowledge the mothers of this land, the elders, their wisdom, their knowing, and my own elders and teachers. Welcome back, everyone. Every now and then, something lands on my desk and crosses my path that really stirs something new within me. Over the last decade or so, I have been seeking answers from around the world about what happens to a woman when she becomes a mother, and this invitation for us to grow and rise. Because at the core of it, I think matrescence, this experience of becoming a mother, really is an invitation. It's a chance for us to look at who we are, to let go of some old parts of us that no longer serve, and to really rise into being who we need to be for our children, but also for the world. So having looked at this, interviewed about it, written about it for more than a decade, it's not very often that something lands on my desk that stirs a new awakening. This book and the author you're about to hear did that. Annabelle Sharman is the author of the brand new book from Hay House Australia, The Future Ancestor, A Guide and Journey to Oneness. Annabelle is a proud Mutti Mutti woman, living self, spirit and Mother Earth, who honours ancestral cultural heritage, knowledge, wisdom and a natural attuned connection to earth medicine. She is a social worker, a certified holistic counsellor, Reiki master and teacher, and mother and grandmother. In this book, she invites us to think about being the future ancestors our children and Mother Earth need. She invites us to look at how we can connect to Mother Earth, to spirit, to ourselves, how to not look outside of ourselves for home and for answers, but instead cultivate this within us. Because really that's what our earth and our children really need from us. I loved her book. It invited me to dig deeper, to look deeper for my own connections. And I hope it does that for you too. Enjoy. Annabelle, welcome to the Happy Mama Movement podcast, and thank you for finding time to join me in this really beautiful and important conversation.
Thanks for having me. It's a real honour to be here with you and joining you today.
I wanted to talk to you about your new book published by Hay House called The Future Ancestor, A Guide and Journey to Oneness. And as I was reading through it, there were so many different things I wanted to explore with you. And so really in the next half an hour or so, I would love to just be taken on this journey with you on how we as women, and in particular because this podcast is for mothers, how we can be the future ancestors our children and our land and our world needs. But first, let's hear a little bit about your story. Can you share with us how you have come to share this phenomenal story and book with us all?
Well, it's been a big journey. It's been an epic journey, and I guess for me, I'm this, I always introduce myself as this bush woman, this bush kid from the Mallee and the Murray River, and I grew up along the river here with my very large extended family and raised by my auntie and my sisters and my brothers. So I'm still living in the same area, and I am the 10th child of my mother and the final child of my mother, born in a time in Australia where, it was a bit traumatic for, for many Aboriginal families at that time. So I was the first child born when my family was moved from the Manatanga mission to the township. So that was a really special time. So my mother thought she had indigestion, and she was pregnant with me, 7 months pregnant. So here I am, surprise. She was almost 50 years old. So that's like the age I am now. So pretty phenomenal. And both my parents were very aged parents. So yeah, what a gift, I was born and raised in this very large family, and in this kinship of protection and nurturing and cultural, in a cultural setting as well, along the river and in the bush. So yeah, I'm here. I've always loved story and hearing stories, and I've always loved writing. And I guess for me, about writing and keeping journals since I was a really young age, I guess, in primary school, I remember I had just always written, in a diary, and I've still got those diaries, but just wanted to record my life and significant events, through my life. And I didn't realize how much of a special, like a really special thing that I was doing about writing. And, when I became a young mother, I became a young mum at 17, I was still writing, writing my love story, writing my trauma story as well, and just writing life events. And just so happened that, the last few years I was really interested in writing more, and I was still writing. And it just was like the synchronicities, and all the stars aligned, and I was able to participate in a Hay House writers workshop and win a publishing deal.
And which is this beautiful book.
Yeah,
Yes. I said to you before we started, I love a book that you can start on page 1 and read all the way through chronologically, but also one that you can pick up and just let the universe open it at a particular page and know that that is enough. And your book definitely does that. It's a beautiful mixture of almost poetry and reflection and exercises and invitations for us and your story. Mostly, I felt like it was this beautiful invitation for us to think about the idea of being elders and the ancestors of the future. Can you explain to us what that means to you, to be an ancestor of the future, and what that invitation for all of us is?
That's a nice question. For me, I guess, when I became a grandmother, I was a young grandmother, a young mum, and also a young grandmother. And for me, I guess at that time, I culturally had my very first smoking ceremony. And at that stage, I felt it was my purpose to heal myself, and also to heal, to heal So there's I'm just lost for words. Sorry.
That's okay.
So that my grandchildren and my future grandchildren and generations of grandchildren, have a healing energy and a healing, a healing through their song lines and their future, that it's like a legacy that I feel like it's a legacy, and it's a spirit soul purpose for me to do that. But I guess, for all of us as a future ancestor, like, this book isn't just about me. This book is about all of us, and, for humanity and for Mother Earth. It's about all of us. I always have a sense of, talking about healing, but it's about oneness as well. Oneness, if we can all, practice and be oneness and know what that is for us all individually, collectively, and for Mother Earth, I think we'll all be a bit healthier. Like, I think that, we need to do better, we need to do
Yeah,
better. And
we
I
do.
think this is just, a part of me that I've been called. I feel like I've been called to, to express and to influence and inspire, because it really is simple. It doesn't need to be hard. It is this concept of YUMA, and to just be Self Spirit Mother Earth, and to be in balance, learn to be our own healers, or not learn, but to relearn or reclaim, and remember that we are our own healers and we are the medicine. So that is my teaching. And I believe when we can be that, we can be in oneness and we can live oneness. And whatever that is for, every individual, I believe, that's what I teach and preach and live. And I just breathe and embody that. And there's too much complexity in the world. And sometimes I believe that it should just be simple.
So when you became a mother at 17, what was that experience like?
Wow. I as a young person, living in a very, very large family, extended family, and I was also an orphan. So I grew up without a mother and a father. I didn't know what that meant to call anyone mum and dad, which I still don't. So I think I fell in love with my husband, who I'm still married. And I had this baby. We had this baby, and it was the first time I really felt, and I do write about it in the book, a little glimpses of my love story. I really felt what love is, and to love a child. And I guess for me, it was something that I, as a mother, that I could experience, and it was a gift. It was a real gift for me, and it was just I just embraced it. I embraced it. As young as I was, I tried to finish. VCE. I tried to finish school. I was almost there, but I'd worked all the way up until I was still working at the hairdressers at the time. Which I'd worked since I was 13, and I worked as long as I could to to support myself, which I had to. So I feel like I raised myself in a sense, even though I was in this big large family and community. But sometimes it was lonely for me. So having a baby and being in love and having my own family really was the biggest gift, the biggest gift for me. And I just loved being a mum. And it was just so natural that I was just like, I just knew what to do, kind of thing. And, I loved being, being pregnant. And I had 2 more children after, I had 3 children. So I just, embraced that and, enjoyed that journey. And it was a love that I'd never felt before in my life. Possibly, when I was a newborn baby, I do write in the book, having this sense of love as a newborn baby. It was a remembering that I had, and it felt like that.
And do you think that the power of having that village around you almost made that experience of becoming a mother so young, having not really known your own mother, that had helped so much? I see so often how isolated we are in the cities and around the world when we become mothers. And then reading your story and hearing different ways of doing this, to have that extended family around you, what difference do you think that made?
Well, I guess for me culturally, I was born an auntie, so you can imagine being the 10th child of my mother, and my mother had 2 marriages, so she, my older siblings were already mothers. They already, had children that were older than me, so I was born an auntie, and I think I'm like a great 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 auntie now. So it's like there's lots of little ones and big ones as well
Yes.
who are older than me. But having that sense of belonging, I guess, in a tribe, like you say, a village, but having that sense of a belonging, I guess, was it was just a natural way. Like it was a natural way of family. There's a real kinship in Aboriginal culture. Whether we all look after. We're all one. There's no separation. And for me, with my cousins, we were all brothers and sisters. Like we were all eating from the same pot of soup. We moved together and dreamed together and grew together in a family, in the street, talk about Ronald Street and Kennedy Street in my town. And that's just the way it was.
And what about your grandchildren? What's their experience of tribe, of growing up?
Oh, look, I see my grandchildren. I've got two grandchildren that live in my community, in my town, and one lives away in Jervis Bay. And, I have to see them every day. Like I have to hear them, have to see them, and I'm a part of their lives. And some people can't understand that sometimes. Culturally, for me, that's I am weaved through their lives in ways that I have a responsibility to ensure that I guess they know who I am as well, and also that I can teach them whatever that needs to be, whatever wisdom or whatever, I guess not to teach them too much, but just for them to know that to just be, to just be in the world and to be self, to be spirit and, to be culture as well. What I teach is YUMA, and that is a Mutti Mutti language word, to be. And I guess I want to ensure that my grandchildren, know that and learn that and can be that as well, because the world can be a very challenging place, and for them to learn as young people a sense of a belonging and acceptance is I feel that is a part of my responsibility as well.
So can you share with us a little bit more about this idea of YUMA, of the oneness, the belonging, and how we can all take that more into our lives?
Look, it's sometimes it's hard to explain, but I'll do my best at to just go with it. So for me, the sense of YUMA, which is, like I said, it's a language word, and it means be, simple, right? It should be simple. Life should be simple, but I guess having a sense of purpose, belonging, peace, freedom, and harmony within our bodies, within our spirit, is a big challenge, because we're often conditioned to be everything else, even as mothers and grandmothers, that we have to be a certain way, in society, and we have to live a certain way and, do certain things. And I guess for me, it is about, facilitating workshops. I was having a lot of participants turning up that were so broken, healers and, other practitioners who hold space for other people that were just so broken. And, this sense of, you've got to be your own healer. Like this sense of waiting for someone else to save us. We could be waiting a lifetime. And I guess for me, I experienced that at times as well. So this sense of YUMA is about being your own healer and being the medicine. And I believe by being Self Spirit Mother Earth can facilitate that in some way. So that is just sort of my little belief around that area, because we live outside. For me, it is about home. When I say home, I'm talking about within. Home is our heart space. Home is our spirit, and we can spend so much time living outside of ourselves, in a material world where, that breaks us in some
Yeah.
way. And we just need to come back to our center, come back home, feel our breath, and just be. And that's the best medicine, for me. I believe that we can spend so much money doing lots of things and still be as ungrounded and, uncentered and broken, that, we search outside of ourselves for one, happiness, often love, and all of those other very important things that what we need as humans, and as women and as mothers.
You talk about in the book about, being a part of the system, almost the broken system of social work and community work, and trying to be a part of the solution, but realizing that trying to be a part of that system was actually burning you out. I feel that this, as you said, in your workshops, you see this with the healers and the women that gather in your workshops. And I see this all around all the time as well. These passionate mothers who want to be a part of the solutions and want to go out there and create a better world for their children. But in the process of trying to do that, actually deplete themselves even more. What's the answer for those women? I mean, we can't just turn away from the broken system, but we can't also break ourselves by being in that. How do we do this, Annabelle?
Look, I don't have all the answers, but what has just come into my mind was, I think we have to believe that we are enough. I had my grandchildren come along to my book talk yesterday in a nearby town, and we got into the car, and it's the first event that they've attended. So, and he got into the car and he said to me, "Nan, that was a success." And I was like, "Oh, wow, that's lovely feedback." He said, "Because people were really interested in what you had to say, what you'd written in your book, because they've been a part of my writing journey, and all, over the last 2 years." And so for me, I said to him, "Well, that makes me feel really proud, because it makes me feel that I am enough, and my words are enough, and my experience, and my guidance is enough. And that for me as a person, as a woman, this black woman, bush kid from the Mallee, that believed, this orphan child, that she is enough." And I think I wasn't going to wait for other people to save me. I had to save myself and be myself and create a life when I keep saying, be your own healer, be the medicine. For me, it was about, creating, like, education. I talk about education, and I knew that I had to learn and read and write because I love writing. So that was a part of that I was gifting that to myself. Like a lot of my family, my older siblings didn't learn to read and write. Like, it was just the times in Australia where they didn't receive an education. They went to school, but they weren't taught, in the system. So, and I was determined to be one of the first children to learn to read and write in my family, in my Aboriginal large extended family. So for me, and for my grandchildren to, admire that and to say to me, that was a success, and like their feedback, just so humbling and honest, and made me believe that I am enough. And I think women have to believe that they are enough. We are enough. And it's almost like we have in the times now, it feels like there's this energy of change, and it is like allowing for like allowing for some new energy, for some change, or whatever that may be, whatever that is, that's going to help you breathe each day. I always say, like, we breathe in sync with our ancestors. And when we can feel that breath, because how often do mothers stop for a moment and just like feel their heartbeat and feel their breath and feel their feet, on the ground, and feeling like Mother Earth is like, embracing them with their breath, with every breath, and connecting with the ancestors. Like, we don't, we need to do that and just breathe and know that we are enough, and we have opportunities to make changes, because there's a lot of challenges that we have to face every day. It doesn't matter where you live. Find your, I say, you could be anywhere. You don't have to be in a temple. You don't have to be in a yoga studio, or, just be wherever you are, and breathe and feel Mother Earth and the ancestors breathing with you. If we can do that every day, somehow, I think we'll feel more at home.
You speak so beautifully about the spirit of Mother Earth, of this beautiful energy that is around us, that as mothers we can tap into ourselves. Not being Indigenous, not having that cultural understanding. When I read it in your book, there was a craving in me of, I would love to know Mother Earth's spirit like that. It's not something that I've grown up with, even though I did grow up in the Northern Territory. It's something that feels, if I may be honest, abstract, but also very familiar. This idea of connecting with Mother Earth, especially as mothers, when we are overwhelmed, when we are looking outside of ourselves, when it does feel all too much, to breathe and feel our feet on the earth and connect with this spirit. For myself and for everybody else listening, can you share a little bit about what that Mother Earth spirit energy is for you? And is it, and how do we, as all together as one, connect with her, heal her, be with her?
I'm just trying to gather my words in my head. Okay,
it's a big question.
It's a big question. And it's sort of, sometimes I get a little bit, okay, because I just be that,
That's
be
right.
that. And because I've embodied that, and I guess as a sense of, culture and a sense of kinship, it's, as Aboriginal people, our concept, our understanding and belief is we are Mother Earth. We aren't separate from her. We are a part of her. She owns us, and we be her. And, and if I go back, my ancestors, sustained Mother Earth. They knew how to, be with her, respect her, only take what you need, moved in sync with the seasons and the rhythm of, the vibration of the land. And when I think of us as beings, in these, as these beings, I feel that we have to, embrace that. Like, when I feel like it's this dance of, moving with the seasons, moving with, the stars and the moon, and just knowing that, like, she owns us, whether we like it or not. If we didn't have Mother Earth, we wouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. So it is kind of like, as mothers and grandmothers, we kind of have a bit of a responsibility to ensure that we are somehow connected deeply, and our children and grandchildren know her, because we are of her and we need her, and we need her to be very healthy, just like we want our children and how we want to be healthy. So it's kind of one and the same. There is no separation. So I believe that she is our medicine, and everything about her is a part of our survival, and that's just the truth, because there is no other explanation that I can explain. But it's about all those things that we want as humans. We want to be free. Mother Earth wants to be free. We want to be safe. We want to be peaceful. We want to breathe fresh air. What are we doing to our planet? What are we doing to our waterways? We need to do better. And it is all of those things that are, it's like what she needs, we need, and we need to practice, and we need to protect. It's we don't have her. We no longer will exist.
Yeah.
That's the best I can answer that.
It's a beautiful answer. Thank you so much. And again, it just feels like both a deep knowing, a being, as you say, but also a call to action, that as mothers, we, to look at our stories, to find our own healing ways, to connect with our own ancestors or land or experiences, so that we can do this for the next generation and generations to come.
Absolutely. All of us as future ancestors have a responsibility, and that time is now, and it's the best way I can say it, because it is, I teach my grandchildren that, and I dream my grandchildren, my future generations of grandchildren, I dream of being in ceremony with them, and that they are embracing this Mother Earth the same way I have, and I leave my footprints for them, and my energy is, a part of them and in the lands where they will be.
Oh, Annabelle, you've made me emotional the way you've described that. Thank you so much for this beautiful book, for your beautiful words and wisdom, and for sharing it with us. For everyone who's listening, I'll share all of the details of Annabelle's work and her book in the show notes. But thank you for gifting us with this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your invitation and this conversation. And yes, lovely to meet you. And, everyone be well, be kind. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm so incredibly grateful for this conversation and this book from Annabelle Sharman. Her book, The Future Ancestor, is available now, and I've popped the details in the show notes of her work and where you can find it. This idea of us being the elders and the future ancestors for our grandchildren and our grandchildren's grandchildren was so inspiring, calling me, and I hope you, to really look at how we're going to create change, what we're leaving behind, and like she beautifully said, the footsteps we will be leaving behind for our future generations. So powerful. And as mothers, surely that's what we're really here for. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of these conversations. Please reach out to both Annabelle and I to share with us your reflections on this interview. And until next week, Sat Nam.